Hi, I'm Robert Wright, and I'm here at Princeton University in the classroom where I've been teaching the course that this online course will be based on. Now, in the past, I've taught courses on religion, and I've taught courses on psychology. This course will be focused on a religion that is about psychology, okay? Buddhism, more than Christianity or Islam or any other major religion, is in some sense about the human mind and how it works and how people can change the way their minds work. Now, this emphasis of Buddhism, this focus on psychology, might not be obvious to you if you went to a Buddhist temple in Asia, say. Okay? There you'd probably find people doing the kinds of things that people in other religions do, praying, making offerings, and they might be treating the Buddha himself as a kind of deity. But if you look at the earliest writings attributed to the Buddha, you'll find evidence that the Buddha himself was really something of a psychologist. He spent a lot of time thinking about the human mind. The Buddha seems to have been particularly concerned with the question of why the mind sometimes makes us suffer. This was a big question, maybe the biggest question for the Buddha, is why do people suffer? Why do we all feel anxiety and fear and sorrow and heartache and unfulfilled longing and on and on and on? And here is the conclusion he reached. We suffer because our minds give us a picture of the world that is not accurate, okay? Our mind kind of deludes us about the nature of reality and really about the nature of the mind itself. So this was his claim, at least, that we're living in a kind of a dream world and we have illusions about other people and about ourselves. Now, this claim is a claim about how the mind works. So in principle, we should be able to evaluate the claim by using the tools of modern psychology. And when I say modern psychology, I'm defining the term broadly. So I mean everything from traditional social psychology to cognitive neuroscience. Now with such tools, we can start addressing the question of whether the Buddha's diagnosis was on target, whether he really had the answer to why we suffer. And that's one of the main things we'll be doing in this course. In addition to a diagnosis, the Buddha also had a prescription, okay? He said, basically, if I'm right about why there is suffering, here's what you can do to end the suffering. And his prescription had a lot of elements, and one of them, as you probably know, was meditation. And one of the things we'll be doing in this course is looking at meditation, looking at whether it works, and if so, how it works, okay? And I want to emphasize the how it works part, okay? I'm not just interested in whether meditation can make you less anxious, less fearful, less sad. I want to know whether indeed, as the Buddha claimed, it does that by bringing you in closer contact with reality, by giving you a clearer picture of the world. That's one of the main questions we're going to ask in this course. Now, in looking at this question, we're going to bring in some expert witnesses, okay? I've been talking over the last few months to basically two kinds of people. A lot of very expert meditators, people who have spent hours and hours and hours each day for years and years and years meditating. And I've also been talking to brain scientists, psychologists, cognitive neuroscientists, and so on, who study these questions. And I've been videotaping these conversations, and I'm going to be sharing parts of the conversations with you. Now, there's an interesting connection between these two kinds of expert testimony, okay? One of the purposes of the kind of meditation we're going to focus on, it's called Vipassana meditation, is to help the meditators observe what's going on in their own minds, okay? And it turns out that the things they say about what's going on in their minds, often these things match up pretty well with what the psychologists are finding about the nature of the human mind. Now I should warn you that some of the things the meditators will say may sound, if not crazy, a little out there. These are things about the nature of the self, the nature of reality, and the sense in which the reality we perceive is kind of an artificial construct, created by our minds. But as strange as some of these things sound, you're going to find that some of them get a fair amount of corroboration from modern psychology. Now, another thing modern psychology can do is help us understand what's going on in the brains of the meditators while they meditate. How does the brain of someone in a deep meditative state differ from the brain in its ordinary state? And what does that tell us about whether the reports of these meditators can be trusted? If this course goes the way I hope it will, then by the end of it, you'll be viewing your life in a new light. You'll have a deeper understanding of how your mind can cloud your vision of reality and you'll be asking new questions about whether dispersing some of those clouds might make you happier and might make you a better person. And different students will answer these questions differently, but however you answer them, I hope that by the end of the course you'll have a much deeper understanding of Buddhism and of modern psychology, and that you'll feel inspired to learn more about both. Hope to see you in class.